Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and we've been celebrating at the fact that we freed Britney Spears. She's out on her own. However, how true is that? We brought in Christopher Melcher. Thanks for being here, Christopher.
Well, thanks, Andy. It's great to be talking to you again and to keep this story alive because we were so
right?
excited November 12th, and then it just there's just been I think people have moved on to other things, but we can't.
Well, so because I wanted to have this conversation because we talked about this, and then as I looked, I'm like, he's right, guys. I mean, now the reality to this story is there's still time to potentially write this. It may have just been delayed for other reasons, so I'm centering you while we're live too. But the question is, how free is Britney exactly? Now, I've seen these articles. I think a lot of us have, Christopher. It's like, well, judges allowed her to sign her own paperwork. She's got her credit card back. She finally can control her finances. But you're calling BS on this. You're saying this isn't actually accurate.
It's partly true, which means that it's partly false. And she's still under conservatorship. On November 12th, they freed her from the conservatorship over her person, which was the most offensive part of this, that controlled, her personal liberties, took those away and gave them to the conservator over her person. So that definitely went away on November 12th, but they did keep intact the conservatorship over her estate, meaning over her money. And there was an explanation by Matthew Rosengart why that was necessary, and we anticipated that there would be loose ends that would have to be figured out. It's easy to give her liberty back instantaneously, but then transferring the records files over to potentially new management or keeping new management as a consensual manager, that takes a little bit of time. And then we're also told about the estate plan that had been changed by Jamie Spears and Andrew Wallet that had some condition buried in it that required court approval. So Matthew Rosengart was saying, hey, November 12th, we can't just terminate the conservatorship over the estate, that it's going to have to live on just for a little bit, maybe a couple weeks, tie up the loose ends, then it's done, certainly before the next hearing of December 8th. That's the outside date. It'll certainly be gone by then. That's what I recall Mr. Rosengart saying. But then December 8th came, and opposed to how the media was there and the public was there before, I understand there were only 4 members of the public and 2 members of the media at that hearing. And one of the reporters that was there said she's never seen a story like this wane from shutting down the street downtown Los Angeles in front of the courthouse to, a handful of people in the courtroom. So we'll get into the details, but this thing it's not over. I'm hoping it will be over soon enough, but it ain't over yet.
So, I mean, your concern just is that she's not actually out. We're all celebrating, and we shouldn't be celebrating until she's actually officially out. And your take is, well, what's taking so long? It's like there's no. I mean, because my response would be, well, I thought they were like wanting to be in this a little bit longer to get the people to get to dig their hands in, right, and find all the dirty laundry, to collect all the data. Like, could that be Rosengart's reasoning here as to why he's sort of being a little slow on the roll here?
That there's part of that, but they don't need to keep the conservatorship over her estate to continue fighting over other loose ends like the attorney's fees, the accounting that her father had asked for. So we knew those issues would not be resolved on November 12th. Her dad is asking for probably close to $2 million now in attorney's fees and costs. Britney's former attorney, Sam Ingham's, asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees, and even her mother is asking for hundreds of thousands of dollars in fees. We knew that would not be resolved on November 12th, but what they could have done on November 12th is dissolve both conservatorships over her person and her estate, and then the court would continue on hearing fights over these fees and other lingering issues before closing the case entirely. Mr. Rosengart said that he didn't want to do that because there was this trust, was an estate planning mechanism that Britney put into place before she was under a conservatorship, but that her father and Andrew Wallet, when they were co-conservators, changed to say even if she got out of the conservatorship, court approval would be needed to make any changes to the estate plan. Rosengart caught that, and John Zabel, the new temporary conservator of the estate, said, hey, we want to make a change to that. We need court approval. We're already in court. We have this court case. It's sufficient just to have Judge Penny approve the change. So they made a motion to approve the change, and that was supposed to have been granted or heard on December 8th. But then for some reason it's not, and it's going over to January. So the concern is that why is it taking so long? Why is her freedom over making financial decisions still taken away, still vested in a conservator? Sure, it's John Zabel, somebody that Rosengart selected, but still, it's not her.
Right.
And she has a credit card, she can drive, she can buy stuff. But it's all within the permission of Zabel.
Right, which is like she could have hired Zabel to do this job for her while still not being in a conservatorship, right?
Exactly. Every celebrity, every super wealthy person has a business manager who takes care of all those details for them, but the difference is it's consensual. And here, this is a non-consensual conservatorship where by court order, John Zabel has the rights, like literally if he wanted to, and I'm not suggesting that he would, but literally he could say, no, you can't spend, I'm taking your credit card away and you can't spend any money. He has that power.
Right. So, and the worry then being, my other question now, I go into conspiracy, like, could there be a version of this? Because there's so many shady things that go on in the music industry, people vying for the rights of catalogs, and clearly that was part of what was going on here with Britney. They kept her in so long. Is there a version of this where they try to do a cleaner conservatorship or cleaner management control that sort of yeah, you're free, Britney, but yeah, we still got our claws stuck in you because we got your dad out, which is what the focus is, but there still could be some shady dealings going on behind the scenes. Is that possible?
Well, sure. And I'm not, I trust Matthew Rosengart, so I don't want my comments to be misconstrued, but we're dealing with Britney Spears, who was basically held legal hostage for 13 plus years of her life, medicated. We know the story. So she needs to recover from that. And she needs to be completely free of any undue influence, any risk that somebody could take advantage of her while she's regaining control of her life. And here we still have a court mechanism in place. I understand it's temporary. I understand the reasons for it, but it's still in place. She is not technically free. And we have Matthew Cain, who was the business manager selected by Jamie Spears to replace Lou Taylor, that's still her business manager. Now, I'm hoping that that's been vetted by Matthew Rosengart to say, okay, this will be the person that'll continue on consensually. But right now, Matthew Cain is the business manager.
It's Michael Caine or Michael Caine, right?
It's Michael
like the
Caine.
actor,
He was formerly a business manager involved in Michael Jackson's affairs. And, so there's some concerns about the connections with Michael Jackson, concerns that Michael Caine was hired by and selected by Jamie Spears, was part of the conservatorship team.
And he's still there, is what you're saying.
And he's still there. And there's nothing that I have seen that suggests that he's done anything wrong. So I am in no way implying that he's done anything wrong or has any bad motives. The only thing that I'm pointing out is that, he is it's a legacy of the conservatorship, and he may be the best person in the world to manage your business, but again, he's a holdover from the conservatorship. So is that the right choice? Should she instead have a clean slate, somebody who has no involvement with the conservatorship? I don't know. I'm just suggesting that for discussion, and I'm hoping she's already had that discussion with her attorney. But there's certainly going to be a new trust. We're told that. We didn't get to see the terms of the trust, but the trust is a contract that Britney Spears enters into, vesting control over her finances into the trustee. Now, the trustee could be herself, as most often it is, and that's not a problem because then she's in control. She can terminate or revoke the trust. She's in control of it. That's all good while during her lifetime. But the trust was redacted completely, so we don't even know the title of it. We don't know who the trustee is, the beneficiaries. So it's possible that the conservatorship ends in January, and she's now under a trust, but the trustee is somebody other than herself. And, you know, it is another form of control.
It's scary too because she's just not aware. She's not aware, and she doesn't have the wherewithal potentially. No disrespect to her, but like it's very easy for them to manipulate her to put her in some sort of new thing that seems more free, but still continues to control her in a way that maybe she's not prepared for. That's what's really scary for me.
That's what I'm suggesting is that these issues that we're talking about in terms of management of a career for a pop star and trusts and legal stuff are extraordinarily complex and beyond, you know, most people's capacity to deal with because they, you know, there's professionals that handle that kind of stuff. But what she's really relying on, her protector, is Matthew Rosengart. And he's the one, you know, who would hopefully be looking into all this, making sure that no one is taking advantage of her. I assume Jody Montgomery is still involved in her life, that was stated, at least when they were asking for the termination of the conservatorship, that Britney would continue working with Jody on a consensual level because she liked working with her. I don't know if they just said that as a protective measure to say, hey, Judge Penny, let's terminate the conservatorship. Britney has a plan in place. She's going to work with Jody to make Judge Penny feel comfortable terminating it and then never work with Jody again. Or maybe she is working with Jody. But again, Jody's tainted also. Jody was part of the conservatorship team. Jody did, although at the end certainly came out swinging for Britney, but she didn't before. We didn't hear her objecting and doing anything until after June 23. Sorry, Jody, you didn't. So again, you know, I think a careful look should be had at who's involved in Britney's life, who's in control of things. And that's true for all of us to make sure, you know, we have the right people in our lives, but especially for Britney because she was abused in an abusive relationship for over 13 years in a legal system with all the protections that you think would exist with, you know, with a court-appointed lawyer and a judge, and she still got taken advantage of. So she needs to operate with heightened concern, and I am confused as to why this thing is still over her past December 8th.
Interesting. And real quick also, I mean, there is still news out there. Jamie was out there trying to defend himself for not forcing the Diane Sawyer interview, but to Rosengart's credit, who I've liked and I still like, I'm putting my faith in you, Rosengart. But it's crazy because he put a really damning statement back to Jamie like, yo, dude, why are we talking about Diane Sawyer? Can you actually be deposed and talk about the fact that you reported recording devices in your adult daughter's bedroom? Why did you approve a $500,000 payment to TriStar after Britney went on hiatus? You know, all this stuff. Why did you pay yourself millions of dollars? Will you return the millions of dollars in combined salary and commissions from Britney's work that he paid himself before he was suspended? What are the total amounts he received from his daughter's estate? These are legitimately the questions we do need to know. And so I got to say, to end this video with, I hear your speculation. I'm worried. However, these are the right questions that we're still trying to get, and Jamie's denying them, but he'll go on and have his PR team respond to, we didn't set up the Diane Sawyer interview. Dude, Jamie, we don't give a crap about that. We care about this. Do you think how do we force him to answer these questions? And again, does this give you more faith that Rosengart is in fact doing the correct things to bring, or again, could this all be the easy distraction to vilify and keep pointing the finger while saying, let's get in there and get our own hands in a different way without, you know, seeming as dirty as Jamie?
Yeah, I like I say, I obviously don't have all the information that Rosengart has, and everyone's got their own style. Certainly, we've seen now the two attorneys, Rosengart and Weingarten, the new attorney for Jamie Spears, you know, attacking each other in the media and in court papers. Not my style. And I understand and I agree with what Rosengart's saying is like, hey, Jamie, if you're going to say anything, why don't you answer these pivotal questions? But the thing is that Rosengard's been asking for Jamie Spears to sit for a deposition since September, and probably before. And here we are in December, and there is a process. There is a pretty easy process to use in state court. When somebody doesn't agree to go to a deposition, you file a thing called a motion to compel. And you say, okay, you don't want to go to my depo? I'm going to now go to court and I'm going to order you, have you ordered to go to my depo. He has not filed that. And he's also saying, you know, hey, you haven't produced all these documents. Well, there's a procedure for that. It's called a motion to compel production of documents. Go file it. Why is that not filed?
We would see that those are filed, right?
We would see it.
Yeah, that's
and the thing is that there's you know, there's I know that there's objections by TriStar to the subpoenas that were issued to Lou Taylor, TriStar, and Robin Hill, or whatever, I can't remember her name.
Greenhill.
But you know, so they've objected to that. That's going to be heard. And the thing is, all this needs to be done before the accounting motion or hearing on all these fees. So I don't think Rosengart would be wanting to go forward with multi-million-dollar fee requests without having all this information. Well, that hearing is set for January 19th, and you cannot get that information between now and then and be prepared to file a response, because he's got to file his response 9 court days, Rosengart, before the hearing. So it's basically early January, you know, like next week or something like that. You know, it's coming up very quick. He'd have to file his response. He doesn't even have the deposition. So what does that mean? That hearing gets continued.
Yeah, this is all worrisome. So I hope we're wrong, but it's our job to keep you on your toes, and not just let this die because the news wants you to let it die, and not get distracted, which is often what people do. Again, all this distraction. The most disturbing truth you drop me is the fact that why hasn't he just pushed for the deposition? The fact that he hasn't filed a motion to get that like, why didn't he do that a month ago? Start that ball rolling. Like the longer he waits on that, the easier to hide stuff, right? Or forget stuff or lose stuff. So that to me is the most shadiest thing I'm seeing. Again, I hope we're just being impatient, Christopher, and I hope there is a plan in place that will prove us wrong. However, fair red flags to raise, and we will keep you updated in January when the next court case happens. We will keep on this because we got to make sure someone is. It's easy to forget this story and just, yay, it's over, we freed her. Jamie was doing that tactic a lot, Christopher. He was out there, yeah, we want to end the conservatorship. Oh, cool, it's over. Everyone thought it was over. Then they still thought it was over. But you're telling us it's not over, guys. She's still in that conservatorship, and there's still some shady stuff we're wondering what's taken so long. Come on, Rosengart, what's taken so long? Very good questions. Oh, so glad you opened our eyes to it. Thank you for being here. Make sure you go check out Christopher's YouTube channel, youtube.com/ccmesq. Any final words, Christopher?
No, I mean, the next hearing is January 19th, so we'll be reporting on that somehow, and you know, see how that goes as events lead up to that hearing. We'll give an update on it.
Looking forward to it. We will be there. Keep your eyes peeled and enjoy your holidays, everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll be back. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, right in the top left corner, or check out these videos as well. Thanks for watching here on Popcorn Planet.